Good morning, early game crew. Rise and shine, because Pete Thamel tweeted a little something that might give us a little insight as to the legitimacy of South Carolina's potential new offensive coordinator hire. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. And we got a lot to talk about today. Kendall Briles, South Carolina offensive coordinator, looking more likely. Still some fallout from the college football playoff. And you know what? There's a quarterback that's going to be participating in the CFP that might change how we actually think of leadership. So much to be able to get to. But Pete Thamel tweeted out last night after I fell asleep. I was already in bed when Pete Thamel tweeted out that it is expected for South Carolina to hire TCU offensive coordinator Kendall Briles to be their new play caller here in Columbia.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to expose you, but I have to because it's early.
Yes.
You said you fell asleep, and you told me off air how you fell asleep last night. I need you to tell our friends out here listening.
So I realized I needed to get, I was worn out. But you know when you lay down sometimes, you're really tired, but you can't exactly fall asleep just yet? So you do the whole counting sheep exercise. I don't do that. But what I did was mentally try to recall every single BCS national championship game from 1998 to 2014. in order.
Go outside, nerd. Get out. Go.
And you know what? I went through all of them and didn't fall asleep. So I was like, okay, what were the scores of all of them? So then I went back and tried to recall the scores.
One more time, Jen.
Go outside, nerd. Get out. Go.
And you know what?
Dude. I mean, I'm just feeling really bad for you right now.
But it worked. I fell asleep. It took 15 minutes, but I did it.
But see, for me, all of that data, then I would have been like, I got to write this down. I got to figure out what to do with this information. I could not have, I need to think about a beach or chill.
I was just recalling the noises of Brent Musburger in national title games.
Oh, sweetie, we gotta work on you a little bit.
The look on Jen's face is this is a cry for help.
I know. I
need you to get help.
I think you told me off air in confidence, but I had to bring this to the table.
We had to. I was probably going to bring it up eventually.
You had to, yeah.
Solely because we're going to be talking about that later, because we're doing our look at what would the CFP look like if it was pre-2015 and we had the Sagarin rankings picking only 2 national title game participants. And I was like, you know what were the best of those? And I went through all of them. I ended up ranking them. I was like,
of course.
What were the best ones?
As you have
what
to.
were my favorite ones?
Rankings have to happen. I do love rankings and lists, so I get it.
I was amazed. I was able to remember almost every single one because I was alive for all of them. But I was able to remember all of them dating back to the first one from 99. Was able to get that pretty quick, and then was able to mentally rank at least my 5 favorites.
Yeah, that's pretty strong. That's pretty strong.
Because there were some bangers. There were also some duds.
You know, they talk about Jay-Z, he doesn't write his lyrics. Lil Wayne doesn't write his lyrics on paper. He has it all in his head. Elijah Campbell has it all in his head.
I just got it. It's just chilling up
here.
here.
Really, the stuff that he'll recall, and back in 2006 at 6:47 when they made that touchdown, what?
Tyler's really good at that too. Tyler
is too.
Tyler's really good,
especially with NASCAR.
NASCAR stuff. I'm what?
I can't do it. I can't talk this granular with you.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, Mira jokes all the time is that not only do I know where every college and NFL player went to, I know their blood type. I don't know their blood type. I will be fully transparent. I didn't yet. I have not memorized blood type yet. But
that's a gift.
I couldn't tell you what I had, for breakfast the other morning. I couldn't tell you what important things I have to do today that actually matter in the span of my life.
You do remember your mom's birthday, Mira's birthday. You at least know those, right?
I know those. And it helps that those are 5 days apart. It helps they're really close together. I remember birthdays. I can't remember cell phone numbers.
Nah, you don't need to.
Don't need to anymore.
Useless skill.
Yeah, it's a useless skill now. But I can recall scores and participants and winners of all the BCS championship games, which RIP. The BCS.
As I'm looking through this, as I'm using Wikipedia to jog my memory, solid games.
Yeah.
I mean, they talk about you never know you're living in the good old days while you're living them. You know, at that time, everyone's like, oh, we need a new system. We got to do this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at these games. I'm like, this seems pretty cut and dry. We got conference champs against conference champs. A national championship game. Seems pretty fair.
To me, it was all fun and games until we got an Alabama LSU rematch in a national title game. And I'm like, I already saw this. Even if the result is different, which it was, I still remember the joke that Jordan Jefferson and LSU's offense is still, to this day, stranded at the Superdome. They're never able to leave because somebody spray painted the 50-yard line in front of the team bus and they never crossed it.
You talk about favorite games. You know me.
Oh, I bet you ate that up.
Was it 13-6? Was that the final score?
It was 21-0. But
yeah.
But there was no score for like the
13-6
first.
was the early game. Yeah. My bad. Yes, it's my style.
Yeah, that game earlier that year was the one that I bailed out on a Sadie Hawkins dance so I could watch that game.
Oh, no. Elijah's not doing himself any favors in the first segment.
I'm not, no. I'm not going to beat the not having a life charges. I'm never going to beat that. I'm not. I can't. There's too much of a sample size before that. We're talking about Kendall Briles, the new offensive coordinator, allegedly.
Asterisks, we've seen reports. All the local reporters have sort of trended that this is going this way. National reporters are starting to catch on. We haven't seen the BOT meet yet with, discussions for athletic contracts. That's kind of the smoke signal. Haven't seen that yet, but we feel pretty confident that this is happening.
Yeah, pretty confident this is happening. So yesterday we kind of broke down the resume when it comes to what Kendall Briles has done as a play caller and how his offenses have performed and what they look like. And we try to notice some trends, especially in two different spots where he actually spent more than 1 year. And that was Arkansas and TCU. Mm-hmm. And I think we kind of hammered down that Arkansas is maybe the best reflection of what his role would look like here. Sam Pittman's an offensive guy, but an offensive line guy, right?
As I said yesterday, essentially the way I think that went down is Kendall drew it up and said, hey, Sam, how do we block this? Or can we block this?
Yes.
And Sam would give him the yes or no.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yep.
And then, okay, that's in the playbook, right? But with Kendall Briles, too, he spoke at, it was a coaching event, I think last offseason, talking about his offensive philosophy. And the first thing I wanted to hit on, as we cut number one, Jen, was his discussion on tempo. Here's what Kendall has.
Tempo. So when we start, obviously I've been to several different places. I went to 5 schools in 5 years, so you're installing quite a bit. We always start with tempo. So whenever we start talking to the offense, we're going to be a team that's going to tempo. That's the number one thing that we're going to talk to our team about. We'll get into the details of that a little bit later.
So the first thing he talks about with his team is tempo. And I want to get into this too. This we cut 8. This is him expanding on the mechanics of what his tempo looks like.
Okay, mechanics. So for us, it works for us. I'm on the field. We have one signaler, okay? There's a couple different reasons why we do that. I like being on the field. I like looking the players in the eyes. I like being able to feel the game. I like seeing the DBs, the defense. I like looking at those guys because I think it gives you a better feel for that. So that's why I choose to be on the field. With that, we use one signaler. So our quarterback and our skill guys are going to get the signals, are going to relay the call to the O-line. The O-line, every play should be the same to them. Okay, and it all starts with the center. You see that up there, but he's got to find exactly where the ball is going to be set. So we do use one signaler. We don't try to do all the other stuff. If you can get our signals and you can get lined up and get that communicated to all 11 guys on the field, then we're not playing fast enough. That's on us. We play with one ball. That's what we want to do. So when we start a drive, we're going to try to play with one football, okay? And we'll talk about it, but you got to involve your managers on that as well. But when we start the drive, we need to play with one football. Obviously, there's going to be stoppage. There's going to be things that happen defensively. They're going to flop on you, okay? That's going to happen. There's going to be penalties, all that type of stuff. And you can exchange a ball, and then if it's a weather situation, you can play with a different ball. But we want to try to play with one football when we start a drive. Skilled players get the ball to the center judge. You guys know that. Center take the lead. It's imperative that your center is an intelligent guy that understands the tempo and knows how to go find where the ball is going. If it's out of bounds to the left, get to the left hash. You know where it's going to be. Find the line judge, get set, so those other guys can get set off of you. Nobody else is going to get down. The right guard ain't going to get his big ass down until you get your hand on the ball, and then the left tackle is going to, all that's going to happen after you get down, okay? So he's got to be fast, being able to get down. And then we film with a continuous tape during our scrimmages in the fall and the spring and during our games. So we'll have a continuous tape, and they're going to film everything. So we're going to coach in between the plays, and we'll have guys that will cut that up and we'll make a highlight of that. We'll show it to them post game, and we'll show our players, hey, you seen what you're doing with the ball right here? So you're handing it to this official, and we'll show the offense, you're handing it to this guy. Well, this guy is not very athletic, and he's going to throw the ball to that guy on the field, and that guy's going to drop the ball. And then that umpire is finally going to get the ball set. And by that time, there is no tempo. And it's all because you're just not running the ball inside. And so you're able to show those guys and then showing them doing it correctly. A guy catching the ball on the sideline, running the ball in, handing it to the ump, getting a signal and playing fast. And so all that stuff matters, and you're able to coach off of it.
So it sounds like the very specifics of tempo go in the details, right? There's only going to be one signaler. He's only signaling to skill position players, and it's their job to be able to relay that to your offensive linemen. You need good communicators. You need a center who can be a little athletic, who can run up and be able to get up on the ball as fast as possible. What this tells me, Preston Thorne, that if he comes here and he is the offensive coordinator like we're expecting at this point, we should expect a team that is playing significantly faster than what we've seen in previous years.
Absolutely. And just even in that in the context of that, he's speaking at a coaching convention. So that's how he's getting really in the weeds about some of that stuff. But it's very refreshing to hear somebody speak specifically about their job. The previous coordinator spoke in sweeping generalities of what you should do, what we can do. Kendall's just said, this is what we do. This is what we need. This is how they do it. This is how it's going to work. And just even hearing that, it sounds like we have a plan.
Which is refreshing.
All it sounds is like we have a plan moving forward. And there's a lot of things that he said that, could really qualify as nerd stuff. But that's what you want from your coordinator. You want him to have a very clear, distinct vision of what he wants the offense to be. And so that just hearing that sounded very different than what we were previously hearing.
And I love the emphasis on it, as in, like, this is the first thing I install. And he mentioned, his stops where he was at. He went from, Baylor, FAU, Houston, Florida State, Arkansas. That's 5 different schools in 5 years, right?
Which may be a red light on your resume. If you was interviewing, be like, hey, what's up with that? That might be something you could bring up. But it means that your system travels.
It travels. Yeah.
It's a system.
Because there is success at different spots, right? Like at Florida Atlantic, they did score over 40 points a game. At Houston, 43 points a game, right? Didn't work very well at Florida State because that was a sinking ship. But after 1 year at Arkansas, he was able to get them north of 31 and 32 points per game in the SEC. And that's what you're looking to get a little closer to here, right? I don't know if in a year you can expect this offense to, put up the numbers they were at Baylor in the mid-2010s. But what we're looking for here is improvement enough to be able to win football games early and be able to get back to what you were in 2024. Now, we'll find out about personnel the more the month goes along and the more Lenore Sellers makes his decision, Nick Harbor makes his decision. We'll get a little bit of a better look as to what that personnel is going to look like. But what I do enjoy is a coach who is so married to the idea of running a fast pace that they're going to install it first thing. I like to think of him like J.K. Simmons in the movie Whiplash, where he's anytime, Miles Teller on the drums isn't playing fast enough, he's not my tempo. Now, obviously, with less physical abuse than there was in that movie.
You got to get things done.
And anything about J.K. Simmons' character in that movie, if you have watched that movie, one of my favorites of all time, top 5 film for me.
I like it.
It's a top 5 film for me. But he got results. You couldn't accuse that character of not getting results.
Winner. If
Bob Knight was coaching classical music, it's J.K. Simmons then.
Avant-garde jazz, Bob Knight for avant-garde jazz.
You're right, yeah, Bob Knight for avant-garde jazz in a very prestigious music school. So already this morning, you got a movie recommendation and a way to help you fall asleep. So don't say we don't do anything for you here. You can't accuse us of that. But one thing we're also going to do is be fashionistas, because we're putting on our garnet glasses next because of the potential hire, alleged hire of Kendall Briles. How much optimistic, how much optimism are we going to be infused with a new offensive coordinator? Well, we're putting these bad boys on next, and we're going to tell you what we're seeing coming up here in the early game. We're in such a generous mood this morning. We've already given you a way to go to sleep. We've already given you a movie recommendation. Well, now I'm going to give you a roofing recommendation because Midstate Roofing has everything that you need to feel confident that those professionals are going to give you the proper advice, service, and results to the specific needs of your facility. And what makes me say that? Well, it's because they've been doing this for nearly 30 years. 3 whole decades of Midstate Roofing being that leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And it doesn't matter if they're high-rise or hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, they design and install bonded systems that give you a protective guarantee to keep that operation dry and running long into the future, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And of course, you can protect that roof with a maintenance contract, all multiple layers of protection that Midstate Roofing gives you for your building. 803-356-1919 is the number to call. You can always hit them up online at midstateroofing.com. And remember, if you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
We have the all clear right now. No accidents to report at this time. Things looking pretty good on the highways this morning. It is dry. We do welcome that. Some clearing today, 45 for the high. Now it is going to be chilly again tomorrow morning. Overnight low about 29, and then we get into the mid 50s for a few days. 58 on Wednesday, 55 on Thursday, 57 on Friday. And dare I say, we might dip into the 60s come this weekend. So that'd be kind of nice. But 37 currently on 107.5 The Game.
All right, normal glasses coming off. The garnet glasses are coming on because you know what?
Whoa.
These things are very red. And that is all I'm seeing. Usually when someone says all they're seeing is red, they're very mad.
Yes, that's true.
But I could not be in a better place.
Or broke.
Or broke. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Don't want to see it on a spreadsheet. I'll tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not looking at a spreadsheet through these things. You know what I'm looking at? A fast-paced offense.
Yes.
An offensive coordinator who's got a plan.
Yes.
A distinct style.
Yes.
A history of developing quarterbacks.
Sign me up.
And a history at overperforming offensively at a place in the SEC where it is now in the 21st century harder to win. That is Arkansas. Because the best season Arkansas has had in over a decade was the year he was there. They went 9-4 and took him to, I guess, what was the Outback? What is used to be known as the Outback Bowl. One of the biggest shams in college football is that
Relia Quest.
Oh, get out of here. No.
Yeah.
I want an SEC and a Big Ten team playing for,
Blooming onions.
yes, to decide what appetizer I'm getting for free at Outback, right? We would talk about all the change in college football that's messed up and dumb. That's it. I think we could point to that first.
We did get our share of Outback the years that we went for those back-to-back years. We ate a lot of it. And there was no complaints.
Coconut shrimp versus bloomin' onion.
All of it.
I'm always cheering for the bloomin' onion. Sorry, I have no conference allegiance in that game, but I do have an appetizer
Oh, dude.
preference. I will always have an appetizer preference there. But that's what I'm seeing. An offense that utilized the best years of KJ Jefferson and did a pretty good job utilizing a really good running back and identifying Rocket Sanders and then getting a lot of production out of Rocket Sanders. It was a very unique style of offense, and it was one that hummed. They did it in the SEC. Arkansas never reached the level of what the top teams in the SEC do, but also that's Arkansas. But this is, I think that offense can work here.
So here's a really great garnet glasses exercise, and it involves time travel.
Well, I love traveling.
You're going to travel back to 2023 when you thought you were so upset that Arkansas had put Clayton White in a blender, and we went down to Arkansas and we could not stop them, and their offense was seemingly unstoppable. But guess what?
Yes.
Guess who was running that offense?
That would be Kendall Briles.
Your future OC.
Uh-huh.
And so you can go back if you want to watch the Gamecocks, if you want to go check out some game film, and maybe you're like me, like I don't want to watch the games that the Gamecocks are not playing in. You can go back and watch that and maybe get an idea about how Kendall Briles ran his offense. And that, to this day, that's the only game that I think Clayton White was ever really just off.
Had circles.
Exactly. He was the only. That's the only game I really think where he was. Maybe that one in Florida, same year, ironically. But those are the only two games I think Clayton White has ever been out-coached. And Kendall Briles was doing something really cool into the boundary with motion and all this type of nerd stuff. But he just had us where we could not stop what they were doing. So if you want to go back and check out,
That's a good point.
there is some game film where you can watch us while also watching a Kendall Briles offense.
Do you remember watching that game and remember being how stunned I was? A, that Arkansas was able to get whatever they wanted offensively. in that
Whatever.
game. And then B, I do remember that game mostly for how dysfunctional South Carolina's offense.
Yeah, we weren't
looked.
good.
That was obviously
So
early stage.
it's a 2-for-1.
Satterfield.
You can watch Arkansas's offense ball out. You'd be like, that's going to be ours soon. And then you can be thankful that you don't have to deal with our offense, that you can watch that game. So it's a 2-for-1.
I love traveling in time for this reason because you know the outcome. You know the outcome and you know what you can get after that.
And time travel with garnet glasses is mwah.
Exactly. So you can watch that game and put your garnet glasses on. You'd be like, this is nice.
KJ Jefferson's throwing for 200. Oh, the Rocket Sanders is rushing for $150, and KJ's also running for an additional 50 because that was an offense that year in 2022 where
2022, yep.
Arkansas scored 32.5 points per game, passed for 234, rushed for 237, and picked up over 6.4 yards per play. That is what I am looking for. Those are the type of things I'd like to see. Mike Shula would call it balance. I call it really good offense.
Yeah, and taking advantage of the players that you have. And I believe Kendall Briles at this coaching conference, he sort of talked about this a little bit more. Jen, can we get clip number 3 here where he talks about adapting his offense to the personnel that he has?
Adapting to our personnel. So like I said, I came up, my dad's a high school coach, and he's got to coach the players that are walking through the door. And as a college coach, obviously the transfer portal is what it is. You're able to recruit players if you're there long enough to be able to develop them. But really, you got to adapt to your personnel. Surely, if you're going into a new job, you got to make sure that you're adapting and getting the most out of the best players that you have, and that's our job as coaches. That's why they call us coach. So you got to adapt to your personnel. I'm not going to walk in there and say, this is what we're doing. You guys got to learn this. Okay, we got an idea of what we want to look like. Okay, we're going to RPO you, we're going to tempo you, we're going to put you in space. But we got to make sure that we're doing the best job to get our guys to be successful on Saturdays or Friday night.
And again, the context of that clip is that he's at a coaching clinic talking to, I presume, his high school coaches. But that's why innovation in football always goes up, because high school coaches are the greatest minds in the game, because they're always working with limitations. They're always working with dudes who are slow, dudes who are skinny, or no dudes at all, whatever the case is.
Only 11 players.
11 players. And they're always figuring out these cool offensive systems, and that's why you see those innovations happen at those times, and they just matriculate up the ranks in college football, in football play calling.
That's my favorite thing about Dane Casey's book that he comes out with every spring and summer, is that he will find trends in offensive football that oftentimes start at the high school level that eventually get adapted at the college and sometimes the NFL level. Andy Reid has taken some things from that, and it's always cool to see where that evolution comes from. But also Kendall Briles has coached in the high school ranks too. Like he gets that. He's coached at a bunch of different levels, but it is very much so a college offense, which is what
we've clamored for it. You said you wanted it.
Desperately begged for something like that. And it's not a carbon copy of what his dad's offense was at Baylor, but there are a lot of similar things, right? And if you look at how successful his teams have run the ball in his time as the offensive coordinator, a lot of that goes from being able to get light boxes. And that's what I really love. That's why if I was a college coach in today's college football, I want to get it to where I have as many number mismatches as possible, right? Where I can constantly manipulate the football math, not the coach math. I'm not begging for my team to be in the college football playoff after we lose 4 games, but the football math on the field where I constantly have more blockers than there are defenders in that box, and I'm going to have a good running back who is going to be able to pick up 5 yards a pop, and then we can kind of lure you into a false sense of security and then beat you over the top.
Let's hear Kendall one more time. Jen, this is him talking about spacing. Again, these are specific concepts that we're hearing, which is refreshing to hear OC talk about his system. Jen?
Spacing, using the entire field. All right, gives you defined pictures, makes it easier for quarterbacks. Every place I've been, I ask them about it. When you have the wide splits, it just defines the field for them. Stress conflicts players, so they can't play both. Those guys have to serve 2 masters. Okay, they got to carry 3 vertical, and they got the B gap. So what are you going to do? So we're going to read all those guys. You guys are doing the same thing. And then create the one-on-one matchups. From a pass game standpoint, we're going to have our 4-level, 3-level quick game, drop back, play action.
Making defenders have to serve 2 masters is another way of saying what I've been saying what Vanderbilt's offense does, which is putting defenders in conflict.
Absolutely. You got to make a choice.
You have 2 responsibilities. You can't do both at once.
One of the things he also said was about clearing up the picture, making it defined. One of the things we saw from Norris this year, it felt like he had trouble making decisions because the pictures were muddy. And this new offense coming in has a goal of defining the picture, what the defense looks like for the offensive player.
Now, pivoting to some college football playoff stuff, there's one quarterback who showed us over the weekend a different type of leadership style that maybe we're not accustomed to. What does that make us think about leadership style, and how is that applicable here? We'll discuss that next on the early game.
We do have a report of a disabled vehicle, I-26 westbound there at exit 91. No other things to mention at this time. Great in that respect. Have the wet weather out of the way. Can have some clearing today. 45 will be our high. Overnight low of 29, and then should be mid-50s for a couple of days. Wednesday, tomorrow, 58 for the high. By Saturday, maybe 63. So something to look forward to this weekend. Right now, 37 on the early game.
We talked a lot about leadership this year, and I think that's one thing that you can point to and have a genuine discussion about when it comes to a team underperforming and being 4-8 in a year they were preseason top 15. It's another thing you could probably point to when you look at how that 4-8 team lost some games, right? Losing a 27-point lead on the road to Texas A&M, losing a one-score game going into the fourth quarter at Ole Miss, losing a one-score game going into the fourth quarter at LSU, losing a lead in the fourth quarter against Alabama. I could go on because that was a common theme of the year was fourth quarter stuff, and that was maybe one of the reasons that you could point towards something like leadership. So when it comes to different leadership style, right, I think we all in our brains have this idea that it looks like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, alpha male, like just oozing
We need somebody to jack somebody up.
That's like the idea, right?
Who's going to get in somebody's faces?
You know who's maybe the least Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant-like figure I can think of in college football? That would be super tall, super skinny, super goofy quarterback for Indiana, Fernando Mendoza. And this clip did make the rounds over the weekend. And then Preston, show me a picture right now. That guy looks like he'd be shoved in a locker by Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan. But this was him after the Big Ten title game in an interview on television.
I want to give all the glory to God. We were never supposed to be in this position, but by the glory of God, the great coaches, great teammates, everyone we have around us, we were able to pull this off. Whoever thought the Hoosiers would be here, but now the Hoosiers are flipping champs. Let's go.
You guys call yourself a bunch of misfits who found the right home at Indiana. Why was this the right place for this group?
It's the right place for process-oriented. We're going day by day, whether it's the offensive line, the defense, the coaches, special teams. We're all process-oriented to one goal. That's our thing, is we're brothers. We can drag teams into the deep end because we know that we're going to stick together and we're the strongest glue ever.
Sign me up.
I love it.
Fire me up.
The guy sounded like me in the 7th grade on the first day of 7th grade in roll call. My voice cracked.
God.
Elijah Campbell, here. I have nightmares about that. It sounded just like me, and I will do that sometimes. But clearly, everywhere he goes, players kind of gravitate towards that leadership style. Now, at Cal last year when he was there, they went 6-6. And it wasn't like anywhere else you look at 6-6 and it's like, okay, whatever. Well, Cal's kind of in a weird football purgatory, kind of has been for a few years. Hard place to win. And they didn't have a ton of success. That was an unexpected 6-6 for Cal. And if you listen to what he said after they beat Stanford and secured that bowl bid, he sounded just like he did there.
Almost exactly the same. Jay, do we have that one from Cal? If we could play the one, he was 6-6. He was talking about that, and look at it, it's almost the same exact guy that I had sent it to the group text, and so it's almost the same exact guy from year to year, and he's not exactly what you would think. Here we go.
21-10 at the start of the fourth quarter. What did it take to come back?
Hey, first of all, I want to give all the glory to God. That was an amazing comeback. It's a testament how tough we are as a team. I love my boys. It's amazing. I'm so proud of everyone's team. We're 6-6. We're bold bound, and we retain the axe. Go Bears forever. Let's go.
And I'm the head of the math team and match points. And I'm the yearbook editor. Okay, I was too, but
This reminded me of our comeback in debate club.
My favorite part of that clip is we're 6-6, we're bowl bound, and he has the
Go Bears
same
forever.
unbridled enthusiasm for
It is.
going 6-6.
and his expression is actually kind of funny. It's bless him.
Same.
6-6 going to a bowl, whatever toilet bowl they were going to, as opposed to winning the Big Ten championship. It's the same dude,
I can see why you gravitate towards him.
and that's consistency.
Yeah.
He is an authentic leader, and it looks different in different places. And so one of the conversations we kept having those shit is like, where's the leadership? We need somebody to jack. We have to, the idea of leadership is that you have to be consistent and authentic so that dudes can know, and it helps when it's your quarterback,
Yep.
so that dudes that know that they can follow you however it looks, whether your voice is cracking, whether you're crying at a post game, whatever it is, we just need to know that this is you, and it doesn't hurt when you make the throws, right?
Yeah.
When it's 3rd and 6 and your coach says, Fernando, make a throw for me, and you do it.
Uh-huh.
When it's a fourth quarter drive and you have to go down to keep your team undefeated, and you do it. You're gonna sign up to follow that guy. So I just think it's very interesting how we have this perception of what leadership is supposed to look like, and it can come. Leadership has 1,000 faces. It comes from anywhere, but it has to be consistent and it has to be authentic. And Fernando's that.
And one thing I really loved about that too, going back to the Big Ten championship clip, right? Because they both sound so similar, I have to really specify which clip that was that we played. In the Big Ten championship one with Indiana, he said, we are more prepared as a team. We'll drag you to the deep end.
We'll drag you to the deep end. That's tough guy talk.
That is. And it's coming from a guy that if he didn't have football pads on, you probably would never assume was a football player, right? But that is the identity of that team. If you had told me that it was a low-scoring game, I'm like, okay, well, it's probably Ohio State winning because I don't know if Indiana's going to score against that defense a lot. And it was 13-10. But at the end of the game, my favorite part of that game was a drive that didn't result in points. And it was the last time Indiana had the ball. You realistically needed about 2 first downs to be able to ice that game. And he did it on really good throws. And I guarantee you they got in that huddle, and his voice is probably cracking calling that play to everybody. But I think everybody in that huddle knew. The receivers knew where that ball was going to go, and it was going to be there. The offensive line knew that if they gave him just enough time, he's making that throw. And he made 2 throws in that game to get those first downs that put it out of reach and won him a Big Ten title game. There was a lot of glue, like with what he mentioned with that football team, that even when things didn't go very well early in the game, because there were some turnovers, there were some mishaps, some bad breaks, they never became unglued, right? And I think that's one thing that we maybe saw here a little too often sometimes.
That was the big difference of this year. Why couldn't we win in the fourth quarter? Because we became unglued often.
And that's the thing about this Indiana team. And it doesn't
Everywhere also. Not just the players, staff, everybody became unglued when times got tight. These dudes said, we're going to drag you to the deep end.
and we are the best glue in the country, right? This is not Elmer's.
You say it all the time. I'm not in here with you. You're in here with me.
Me, yes. They hit him with the Rorschach and Watchmen, right? I'm not locked in here with you. You are locked in here with me. And I love that type of mentality, and they have that, right? And it's not like Indiana did nothing but recruit 5-star kids, right? Out of high school. It's not like they're top 10 in the country in recruiting rankings. We want to figure out this great grand mystery as to why Curt Cignetti has gone to Indiana and turned a place like Indiana into a Big Ten champion and, oh yeah, the #1 overall seed in the college football playoff. That's an example why. And that's something that you don't have to have all the best facilities in the world. You don't have to have the deepest NIL pockets. You can overachieve by having guys like that and having different leadership styles that maybe don't look traditional, but it still gets everybody on board.
Absolutely. And that's what teams that are on the fringes are going to have to do. Now that takes a different level of evaluation. You can't just look at somebody's stars and say, oh, that's the leader. That's not how that works. You're going to have to evaluate them and take them through the processes, and it may end up being somebody that you don't know what it is. There was a glaring lack of leadership, however that shapes out on the team this year, and that's something that Shane and crew are going to have to identify early and get hammered down if they want the team to turn the corner for the next year.
Now, going back to that phrase, I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me. I'm not locked in at this chicken establishment we're going to talk about here in the next segment. Preston will be locked in there with me, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm talking about to round out the first hour of today's show. So today, from 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Preston and I will be at Guthrie's new location, 339 Generations Way, and I'm told that is next to Valvoline. where we're going to be participating in a chicken finger eating contest. I am not locked in there with Preston. Preston is locked in Guthrie's with me. I've started the fasting already. Had an early dinner last night. Got a lot of sleep. Not going to eat anything today. I know that's not, from people that have been professional eaters, that is not the advice they give. But I know my strengths. I know my body. We're going in ready.
See, this is the problem. You know how people watch Aaron Rodgers and they're like, oh, Aaron Rodgers was a great quarterback. He's a Hall of Famer. I was a Hall of Famer eater. But I am more Aaron Rodgers now than Aaron Rodgers Packers.
Oh, no.
So the idea of like having the explosive arm and being able to pick apart defenses, I don't know if I got it. I mean, we're going to go out there and give it a shot.
He's going to give it all he's got.
But your boy might be washed in this department.
This is my chance to find out if I am or if I'm not washed. I don't think I am. I think I still got it. I can gluttonize with the best of them still, right? But not what I used to be, because just a peek into like what it was in my adolescence. Me and my brother would go to church with my dad, and then we'd leave because we go to the early service. We'd leave so we can get back in time to watch the early slate of NFL games, which is usually whoever the Titans are getting beat by, and then whatever the Fox game is. But we'd go by KFC, and my dad would get about 50 breaded wings for just the three of us, because he knew pretty darn well I'm consuming almost 30 of them. That was my prime. Now, am I in my prime now? No. I don't know if I'm late stage Aaron Rodgers, but I think I'm more along the lines of late stage Blake Griffin, where he was with the Detroit Pistons. Now, he wasn't dunking like he was because of all the knee injuries, but he was still able to put up 30 on any given night.
Yeah, you got to be able to do it once in a while. But see, here's my problem. As you said that when you talk about your prime, my prime, if we're talking about like glutton, eating, overconsumption, was often aided by PEDs, right? And I don't know if that's going to be available to your boy as we're on air. I don't think that's legal. I don't think we can do that.
I don't think we can. Well, I mean, I could send a text out or two. I mean, I probably could.
So I don't know if the PEDs are going to be in effect. But again, we're going to give it a shot.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely going to give it a shot. And if you show up, Xavier Legette is there too, so have a chance
That'll be fun.
Ask him how to pronounce his name. Is it Leggett?
Yeah, we'd be like, hey, man, we need to know, final for real. How do you pronounce your last name?
Yeah.
Because he goes to the NFL and all of a sudden it's changed.
Yeah.
Broadcasters call him Legette, and I'm like, and I think Roger Goodell called him Xavier Legette, which Roger Goodell has.
Whenever they call him at the
names.
bank, they call him sir first.
Correct.
Most importantly,
Mister.
valued customer.
They're very happy to see him whenever he walks in.
Oh, for sure. As would I. But it's funny, I was talking to my brother about this yesterday. We were on the phone, not yesterday, Sunday. We were on the phone watching football games together virtually. And I told him about this, and he goes, I just want to hear the guy talk. He's like, I'm jealous because you get to hear him speak.
Straight up.
And the first question is automatically, where's he from? And I was like, I'm going to teach you a new place today, Mullins, South Carolina.
You're going to have to do a lot of this on your map if you're looking for it. A lot of
zooming.
You got to zoom in a lot. A lot of zooming to get there, but you will get there.
So that's from 4 to 6 today. I'm excited. That's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be fun until 6 o'clock, until I have to go home and I sit down. And I got to think about what I just did, because here's the thing. Here's my unhealthy food philosophy in general, right? I can't stand not cleaning out my plate. So if I overcommit, I have to finish the deal.
Oh.
That's just partially how I was raised, partially just how I am. And the meal's not over when I'm full. It's over when I hate myself. And that's what it's going to be today. The contest will not be over when I am full. It is over when I am just drowning in self-loathing.
You need to plan an activity for afterwards. Go to Pro Swing, go play some pickleball, go
Pro Swing, yeah.
It's a good call.
Yeah, just something to keep you moving till you can process all of the stuff. They are good chicken fingers. So
I've never had their chicken fingers.
They're really, really good.
So I'm new to the game.
Yeah.
I'm new to this game, so I'm excited
Can you
about
use
that.
sauce? Because they have a good sauce.
Ooh, yes. If sauce is discouraged, I will be discouraged. But if sauce is encouraged, then I think I can do the Vince Carter meme of I got one more in me.
There you
And
go.
today I think I can get one more in me.
Ooh.
But I've been preparing. And by preparing, I mean my entire life of just eating a lot of food with sometimes serious consequences.
So what did we learn this hour? We learned that Elijah uses BCS bowls to fall asleep. He's overconsumed chicken. He overconsumes chicken wings on Sundays, watching the 1 o'clock Titans lose. We've learned a lot about you this
Whiplash
hour.
is a top 5 film.
Wow.
Don't forget that one. Top 5 film. If you have not watched it, movie's been out for 10 years, so I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody, but that's a top 5 film.
Mary's
Tom-
a lucky girl.
Oh, yeah. So much food in that house. Hour number 2 is next. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes when I do gluttonize, it's usually in my living room watching TV, and, I'm a little messy, and things can get on my carpets, and I've been known to mess up our carpet a few times, but I don't worry about that like I used to because of my friends over at Zero Res and their Zero Water technology, which is safe for people, pets, the planet. Leaves no soap, leaves no residue. All it leaves is soft, fluffy carpets that stay clean longer, and they're here to help you celebrate the holidays coming up with their December promotion. So you can secure your holiday cleaning. Just mention my name, Elijah Campbell, 1075 The Game, and you can get $40 per room cleanings. And to make the gift even bigger, once you schedule 3 rooms, you can add an entire staircase for just $1. So this is the season of joy. Zero Res is helping spread their joy with this promotion, and appointments are filling up really fast. I can tell you right now. So I would recommend you call today to lock in your cleaning. Schedule online at ZeroResColumbia.com.
Marchbank Parkway at Hardscrabble Road, we have a report of an accident. So if you're heading in that area, be mindful of that. And forecast-wise, it's going to get better. 45 for the high today, going to be dry. We appreciate that. The overnight low of 29. Tomorrow, 58. Thursday, 55. And really, by Saturday, could see a high of 63. So we'll welcome that a little bit. Right now, 37 on the early game.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. Oh, man. The gluttony stories that we've been getting on the text line are good. They've been really good so far. Nugget eating contest for my man, Chef. It's a long text. I'll get to that at the end of the show because that is really
Potential
good.
winners right there.
That is a potential winner right there. Before we get into the college football playoff matchups that we're actually intrigued by, because we're still in kind of that arguing about the field part of this entire thing, but I'm still intrigued by some of the matchups, and the existence of some of them makes me mad. Not because they're in the playoff, but because they're rematches, and I hate that. But we'll go to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. We want to get to Tom, who wanted to weigh in on the leadership segment we had just a few segments ago. Good morning, Tom. Welcome to the early game.
Hello. When I was listening to you all talk about the Indiana quarterback and his personality and very clear enthusiasm, was curious, was that a kind of subtle indictment on Lenore's Sellers? Because he doesn't have, naturally possess any of those qualities. So was it maybe a subtle indictment, or would you suggest that maybe there's different ways of being effective? But how does that relate to Lenore's personality and fourth quarter collapses this year? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Appreciate it, Tom. Yeah, well, first of all, if you listen to the show, thank you, but I do not do subtlety. So I would like to go out and say whatever I want to say. What it was a critique on the idea that leadership has to look a certain way. And if anything, it's an endorsement for Lenore's, because one of the things that people were saying about Lenore's was that, oh, look at him, he's smiling after the game. Or look at him, he's not getting in anybody's face. And I'm just saying that that's not what leadership actually is. Leadership comes when you're not on camera. It's when people don't see it. It's through your actions. It can be out loud and boisterous. It can be great in post-game interviews, but it can also be very, very subtle. Now, you have to grow into that, and you have to be taught how to be that, and I think Lenore's has all the characteristics to do that. But no, I don't do subtlety, and it was not a shot. It was just the idea that leadership can come in various forms.
And the thing with Lenore's, too, is when he was the quarterback of the team that won 9 games just last year, there were a lot of other leaders around him too, right? And part of what I think Lenore's leadership style is it's a by example type thing. And I think that's equally as effective, right? But the thing is too, I think one of the reasons why maybe we didn't see the results that we wanted to see this year was you didn't have enough leadership from everybody. Like leadership can also be a team effort too, because Demetrius Knight talked about a lot as a leader on last year's team, right? Guys like that, Debo Williams, definitely another one of those guys too. If you don't have other guys that can maybe supplement it, then it can be a little difficult, right? I think with Lenore's personality, the thing what is his benefit is that it's authentic. I don't think anybody's ever going to accuse Lenore Sellers of not being authentic. And that's one of the reasons why Fernando Mendoza's is effective, is because of his authenticity. You can't fake that. Fernando feels like kind of a nerd. You can't fake that, right? It is very authentic, and I think that's what people maybe more gravitate towards, rather, if I can speak this morning, than somebody who is clearly faking it, like a Russell Wilson.
Bingo.
Russell Wilson, if you just read anything about the Denver Broncos in the years that he was there,
at every stop along the line,
it's a guy who made his own office in the facility, demanded he have his own office, and say, you guys can come by my office anytime. I have an open door policy at my office. Brother, you're the quarterback. We share a locker room together.
Russell, you're my teammate. What are you doing? There's a difference. Yeah, you're the leader, obviously, but you're not above me.
Right. And that's, and of course, like in terms of inauthenticity, the Subway commercial where this is the Dangerous sandwich. Do you feel dangerous? Is one of like the worst. Like it reeks of trying maybe a little too hard there.
To bring up a very strong personality who is a leader in his own way, Jameis Winston. Yeah. People gravitate towards that dude.
They do.
He's a big personality. He was the leader of that team as the third string quarterback.
You're right. Yeah. Because of who he is.
Because of who he is. And what you have to do is you have to be able to figure out who you are and hone that. Now, the addendum, and this is the part, again, I do not do subtlety, is that part of being a leader and one of the tent poles is ironclad emotional control, right? And when you see Fernando after the post game and thank God, his voice is cracking, you don't see that in the game.
No, at all.
During playtime, all you see is strict focus on the task at hand, right? And so and you see that from the coach, and this is where I will not be subtle. Shane does not have very strong emotional control on the sidelines during the game. Now that could be a plus, that could be a minus. This year it tends to have been more of a minus. And so maybe leadership cues come from the top. There's a lot of ways that you can dissect this. All we're saying is that dude that you don't think is the leader, and it can come in various different ways.
We'll go back to AAA Heating and Air phone lines where Michael is on the line. We'll get to Michael right now. Good morning, Michael. Welcome to the early game.
Morning, fellas. How y'all doing?
Good.
Pretty good.
Elijah, before I start, did y'all catch that? Are you a Titans fan?
I am not a Titans fan. For some reason, just as a kid, I never emotionally gravitated towards the Titans. I mean, as a kid, I liked a few of their players. I loved Steve McNair. I thought Eddie George was awesome. I was lucky enough to get to work with Derek Mason when I was working radio in Nashville. Loved that dude. But I never just emotionally gravitated towards the Titans. Became a Saints fan at a young age.
Oh, okay. You supported me now, man, because I thought I had somebody to share my pain with those friends.
Oh, no. So you are. Oh, man. Oh, it's bad this year, brother.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's so bad.
It's been bad this year, man. I don't see it up. But, anyways, that's not the point. I don't know how much I've just tuned out too long ago, so I'm not sure how much y'all talked about the new OC. But I like it. I really do like it. You've no matter what, maybe TCU, because I know TCU fans are happy that he's gone, but I just been trying to tell people, look, you're upgrading from an OC that coded 100.
We're losing Michael. It must be a reception thing right now. But he did want to bring up the Kendall Briles discussion, and he likes it, and there's reason that he likes it. There's reasons I like it too, that I think it can work. Yesterday, I think we kind of established that we thought it was maybe a safer option, and if safer works, then you can go. Then if you have an option that's safe and effective, you do it, right?
And you know what? And when I say safe, I mean as in sound.
Yes.
Right? Safe and sound. This is a very sound hire. This is not anything that you would have any qualms from me or anybody else about the numbers, about the philosophy. It is a safe and sound hire.
Yes, and because it is not just a name, but there has been a history of production. Now, what Michael alluded to, too, is TCU fans. I have seen some TCU fans excited that he's gone, but I think that's maybe a sentiment of just having a disappointing season. And offensively, if you just look at some of the raw numbers, points per game, it was the worst of the 3 years that he was there. You look at passing yards per game, it's the first time they didn't eclipse 300 passing yards per game. You look at rushing, it was a little better than 2024, but not substantially. But every single year he was there, they were at 6.2 yards per play. And that's one of those things, too. How much of that was Kendall Briles? How much of it was Sonny Dykes, too? Because Sonny Dykes is an offensive mind who has called a lot of plays in his time as a head coach. There's probably a reason to look at maybe why they regressed a little bit, but I tend to look at in terms of what Kendall Briles is and how that's going to be applicable here in terms of just the machinations of the program. What he did at Arkansas is going to be a lot more similar. Because I think Shane gives a lot of autonomy to his coordinators, and he probably had the most autonomy at Arkansas, given who the head coach was at Sam Pittman. Again, Sam Pittman, great offensive line coach. He is there to be the CEO of the program, but he needs you to run that offense. So in terms of offenses that I think probably have the most Kendall Briles thumbprints on it, is that those years from 2020 to 2022 when he was the play caller for Arkansas.
Yeah, and as I said during our Garnet Glasses segment, if you want to watch some of that in action against us, it was a bad thing when it was happening, but now you can see it as a good thing. Watch the Arkansas game when we went down to Arkansas. And that's the only time, maybe the 1 or 2 times that I felt that Clayton White was mismatched as far as he was just out of sorts. Kendall Briles was one step ahead of Clayton, and he kept getting him with the stuff into the boundary and the motions and all that stuff, and we just couldn't catch up to him. That's something that you can watch, and that's something that maybe you could look forward to. But to Michael's point, it is a dramatic upgrade over the previous coordinator situation that we're just coming out of.
Yeah, I certainly think so, too. And for a lot of reasons that we'll continue to discuss later on in the show. But in terms of the college football playoff bracket, I mean, we discussed the arguments about it yesterday, and those are going to continue, right? I mean, at some point this week, we'll play a lot of what Notre Dame athletic director had to say about the permanent damage done with their relationship with the ACC. Pete Bavacqua telling Dan Patrick there was a permanent damage done with the ACC, which is a whole other discussion. But in terms of the games that we're actually excited for, or potential matchups, I'm not as amped as some people would be to see Oklahoma, Alabama again. I don't think it was a very aesthetically pleasing game the first time they played in Tuscaloosa. Now they have to go to Norman. There's some intrigue with a rematch, but I know exactly where I'm going to be on December 20th at noon when A&M and Miami face off. That's going to be in front of a television and watching every snap of that game.
So I agree, but I'm interested in what are your reasons for that?
It's my thing. I've already seen it. Like, I mean, now the outcome can be different, but I don't love having rematches in the postseason like in college football, because that's one of the best things is that part of college football, you don't just have the 12-team playoff at the end of the year. The year leading into the playoff is a playoff in itself, right? That's why Notre Dame's not in this thing. It's because they had a playoff game against Miami, and Miami had a playoff game against Notre Dame. We didn't know it was at the time, but that's the beauty of it. We had a playoff game in college football on August 31st, and not a single person in the United States knew it was a playoff game when it happened, but it turned out that was the case. Oklahoma and Alabama, I would like to believe, was a seeding playoff game. We've already seen Oklahoma beat them. Now, again, I still think there's some intrigue in terms of seeing how it plays out again, but also I just don't love watching Oklahoma play offense. John Mateer, there's an element of fun, but also an element of just this offense is stuck in neutral, right? Out of all the playoff teams in the field, I may be least impressed by, it's probably Oklahoma.
So here's the argument for that many people are making against the G5 teams being in, because when you look at this bracket, I'm not sure how many people, aside from folks from Tulane or James Madison, are really looking forward to those two games. Oregon, James Madison, or Tulane and Ole Miss. I'm not sure how much the general public is locked in on those games. I know for me, let me not speak about everybody else. For me personally, that's going to be on a need-to-know basis.
Okay.
That's going to be like, what's happening? JMU's up 7 in the second quarter? Okay, let me turn in. Same thing with the Ole Miss Tulane game. Oh, Tulane's up 7? Let me see what's happening. I'm not sure if I'm going to be locked in at the start of those games like I will be for Texas A&M and Miami.
Oh, for sure. Now, I might be locked in at the start of them because that's when they might be the most competitive.
Maybe, yeah.
But I am just a sicko. I love seeing the potential for it, right?
And it could happen. And that's not saying that it won't happen. Like I said, I can get there. If somebody sends the bat signal up, I can turn the channel and get there. But my initial excitement is not necessarily for those games particularly.
And it was another pet peeve of mine, too, that I understand Tulane has a better resume than JMU, but I've already seen Tulane Ole Miss. For the sake of just avoiding redundancy, can we have swapped them so we can see Tulane, Oregon, and JMU Ole Miss? Mm-hmm. Just for the sake of not having repetitiveness, because where Ole Miss is, too, Ole Miss wins that game, they play Georgia, another game that we've seen before. That's one of my favorite things about the playoff is you get matchups that you haven't seen during the year. And that may be just a personal me thing. I'm sure maybe some of you are excited to see a rematch in Alabama, Oklahoma. It's just not me.
Yeah, well, I think it depends on if the game was actually compelling.
Yes.
Going back to the BCS conversation that we had, that Alabama LSU, the first game was compelling, though many people say it was boring. I say it was amazing. The second one,
field goal fest. 9-6 final.
Oh, so beautiful. Mwah. But that's why the rematch was like, okay, this might be boring, but there's some sickos out there that might enjoy this. These particular mismatches, these particular games weren't compelling in the regular season.
Yeah, but yeah, so Oklahoma won because they had a pick six and were able to force a lot of turnovers in Alabama. Now, can they do that again? I think is an intriguing back story or a subplot of that game, which can make it a little interesting. And it's a standalone Friday night game, which helps a little bit. Am I saying I'm not going to watch it? Absolutely not. I'm going to watch it, but maybe not as intrigued as Miami, Texas A&M, because I think that one can be an absolute thriller. But we'll continue our discussion on leadership because we have more we want to get to here for this early game morning meeting featuring Fernando Mendoza Sound. That's next.
Pressing here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. If the glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with the insurance to take away the hay. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are, and they'll give you a free quote for any job. Now, if you're at home and you're looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with new windows or mirrors, and Absolute Glass will take care of that for you, too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Marchbank Parkway at Hardscrabble Road. We do have a report of an accident there. Also, I-77 northbound just after Decker Boulevard. So be careful in that area as well. Forecast-wise, man, it's nice to have some dry conditions for a while. No more rain for a bit. 45 for the high today, overnight low 29. 58 tomorrow, 55 on Thursday, 57 for your Friday, 37 currently. But it's dry on 107.5 The Game.
a certain quarterback in college football is giving us a new idea, maybe, of what leadership looks like. How is that applicable to South Carolina? And how can potential new offensive coordinator, Kendall Briles, because I can't say offensive coordinator yet, it's not official, even though someone said it's on Wikipedia now.
That's pretty funny. And if it's on there, man, it's got to be real because nobody has access to that.
Yeah, nobody's got access to that. Maybe somebody jumped the gun. Pete Thamel did tweet that it's expected last night, which if Pete Thamel feels good, if Pete feels good to tweet it, I think it's going to happen. So we are operating under a 99.999% assumption that it will. But how is that going to maybe affect leadership going into this team, along with his X's and O's acumen? We're getting into that on today's morning meeting.
Morning. Repeat after me. Today will be an awesome day.
Yeah, it will.
Let's go.
It's a new coordinator.
Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
It will be because the search for an offensive coordinator is essentially over.
Close to over.
Close to over. It is about as close to over as possible. We just need a few things to be signed, some things to be approved. But I wanted to tackle this to another angle, too, because we have been talking about, obviously, the Fernando Mendoza comments after the Big Ten championship and it reflecting a different leadership style and how maybe South Carolina can be able to find some of the leaders in that room to be able to get over the hump, get back to where they were this time last year, right? Where you're talking about either being in the playoff or in contention for it like they were, right? They were in serious contention for the playoff, and you wanted to go farther this year. It didn't happen. Offensive coordinating and leadership, I think, were parts of that equation. Before we get to the OC part and how Kendall Briles can help, what did Fernando Mendoza teach you about what a team like South Carolina can do moving forward?
Well, looking at Fernando, obviously you have to have the athletic acumen to be a leader. And I think that's the first thing that we need to look at when we're talking about this, because this year when we talked about leadership on this South Carolina team, we oftentimes pointed to Luke Doty, which was cool, but he wasn't playing. We were pointing to other guys who were fine, but they weren't actually playing. So the leader of a team has to be leading from the front. He has to be in the field of battle. He doesn't have to be the best player, but he has to be contributing to the team on game day. Not in practice, not in the meetings. That's awesome, but you have to be contributing on game day. So I think that was a personal folly. So that's the first part. The second part is that they have to be consistent. And there's a really good book if you're interested in it. It's called The Captain's Class, where the author talks about what actual leadership is. And he goes through all of these teams and he points to different players on these teams that were the leaders of the team, but they all led in different ways, but they all had some things in common. They had to be able to motivate people through nonverbal displays. They had to have ironclad emotional control. And the most important one to me is they had to have extreme doggedness and focus in competition. And I think from what I can see, Fernando checks all of those boxes. Mm-hmm. Now, what the coaching staff's position is, what they're going to have to do is use the spring, use the winter workouts to identify people that fall in these categories and build leadership. Leadership doesn't just happen. And that's kind of the conversation that we kept having this year, was like, oh, we just don't have any leaders. Well, that's on you.
Yes.
Your job is to identify and develop leaders throughout this whole process. And when you don't have them, you can't just say, we ain't got them. You have to work on developing them, whether those are people that are here, whether those are people that you're bringing in. And so that conversation, and this all stems from, Jen, can we get this clip? This all stems from the idea that Fernando does not look or sound the way that we think a typical leader. Jen, can we get clip number 9 from yesterday?
I want to give all the glory to God. We were never supposed to be in this position, but by the glory of God, the great coaches, great teammates, everyone we have around us, we were able to pull this off. Whoever thought the Hoosiers would be here, but now the Hoosiers are flipping champs. Let's go.
You guys call yourself a bunch of misfits who found the right home at Indiana. Why was this this the right place for this group?
It's the right place. We're process-oriented. We're going day by day. Whether it's offensive line, the defense, the coaches, special teams, we're all process-oriented to one goal. That's our thing, is we're brothers. We can drag teams into the deep end because we know that we're going to stick together and we're the strongest glue ever.
We're going to drag teams into the deep end. We're the strongest glue ever.
That is the
My
direct
favorite part of that.
That is a direct message from the top, right? That is he is speaking as the mouthpiece for Curt Cignetti. What we never heard this year from our particular team was any particular message. We didn't know what the message was, and I think that's something that Shane and crew are going to have to figure out. Because in previous years we had messages, find joy, whatever. There was a theme, a motto. We didn't have that this year. And I think there's a direct correlation between your leader being able to speak directly to what the message is of the team and him being able to decipher that to the rest of the team and not having it. We didn't have leadership this year because we had a lack of vision and a lack of clarity in direction. That dude was able to articulate exactly what his coaches wanted, and I'm sure the rest of the team can understand that too.
And I think coordinators have a say in that too.
Yep.
Because defensively this year, now they weren't what they were last year, but I think the defense was acceptable to be able to win games. And one thing that I always noticed in the press conferences during the week, a lot of the players were parroting a lot of the same.
They all sound like they're on the same page, right?
Yeah. Put the ball down. How many times did we hear put the ball down?
Spot the ball.
Yeah, spot the ball. And Clayton White also saying the same things. You could tell there's a pretty unified front.
It's a mantra.
Didn't really have that as much with the offense.
Didn't have it at all.
We heard we got to be balanced, and I don't think even
the most we heard from offense was we're going to be tougher. Cool. I don't know what that means. That doesn't sound the same as we're going to drag you into the deep end. That sounds terrifying.
That goes hard.
I don't want to play that team.
I don't want to at all.
You tell me you're tough? Okay, cool. Whatever. You tell me I'm going to drag you into the deep end? Now I'm nervous.
Now I'm yelling for help, right? And that's the thing, like with Kendall Briles too. From some of what we heard, there is a clear identity with what he wants to do on offense. So, and we talk about leadership with getting or holding other players accountable and doing what some of the classic leadership stuff is too. When it comes to a coordinator being a leader, I think what Kendall Briles at least can provide from what we've heard from him is he has a clear identity that he wants to do. They want to run good tempo. They want to match personnel with that tempo, and they want to play really fast. And I know, like in college basketball, that's like the ultimate buzzword for a head coach in a press conference saying, we're going to play fast, right? You could almost make it the most dangerous drinking game in the world is when there's a college basketball hiring cycle and you play all of the pressers for the new coaches that they're going to say they want to play fast. You might not survive it, right? But with Kendall Briles, it is such a part of the identity that I think that message is going to be clear. He said even out of all the places he's gone, the first thing he installs is tempo. And I think having that structure, that organization, and having that clear mission when he first walks into the room is good news for Gamecock fans to hear.
Because that's, at least we all know what we're doing. We know we have an ethos, we have a mantra, we know the way that we're going to approach the game.
And one thing that we've been doing this week, because we were talking a lot about a 12-team college football playoff, things used to be a lot different in this sport, right? We're going to take a look at how things used to be different and what it would look like if those former structures were applied to this season. Well, let's go back into the time machine and play the BCS game. Who would be playing in a BCS title game? We'll discuss that next.
Still working an earlier slowdown, Marchbank Parkway at Hardscrabble Road. Also, I-77 northbound after Decker Boulevard. I-20 westbound before 277. And the left lane is blocked. I-20 westbound at Two Notch Road. Definitely looking a little bit better. Drier conditions, and we definitely welcome that because that's just cold and nasty. 45 will be our high today, overnight low of 29, but it will be dry, and we're going to stay dry for most of the week and weekend. 58 for the high tomorrow, 55 for your Thursday. It's kind of cloudy right now, and you do want to bundle up. It's 36 on 107.5 The Game.
Many, many moons ago, we used to settle college football championships, national championships, not with a playoff, but with a computer.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a fist fight. Okay.
A fist fight. Well, actually, I mean, if you look at some of the history of why the NCAA was formed, you could say that football was basically just an excuse to fist fight on a football field, and kids died, and the NCAA was formed to avoid legal action against the schools participating in those glorified fistfights.
Shout out to Teddy Roosevelt, man. You're a real one for saving football, dog.
If you think about it, yeah, college football, it in terms of sports with maybe the wildest histories, college football has a lore on its own, especially considering its whole governing body. The governing body for all collegiate athletics was started because so many kids were dying playing football.
And by kids, we also meant locals that were masquerading as students on these campuses.
Yes,
when they were just
also a
bringing
thing.
local dudes on, dudes who had wives and kids, and they were like, "We need some roughnecks to come play football." And they're like, "Sure." They're like, "Can you get into Yale?" Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
But we don't care because we need to play. Because why, folks? Because college sports has always been crooked.
Always.
We've always been trying to win.
Even before the NCAA was established. And then it turns out we need some type of governing body because this is getting out of control. Yeah, that's how this whole thing started. So to Jen's point, we actually, probably did used to settle this thing by fist fight 110 some odd years ago, something like that. You could pinpoint it to that. But they used to settle the national championships 10 plus years ago, not 110, 10 plus years ago, by having the Sagarin rankings essentially pick the two teams that are number 1 and number 2. The BCS computer rankings to play for a national championship. Now, most years, I think it got it right. Most years, right? And usually it's because it's two teams that are undefeated or maybe a team with one loss, right? It seemed relatively easy. There were a few years that were controversial. Like the year Alabama and LSU had a rematch game. It was pretty controversial because Oklahoma State had a really good case to be that other team in. One-loss Big 12 champion with an explosive offense. Could have been fun. I go back to 2004 when an undefeated SEC champion Auburn did not get to play in a national championship game. And instead, Southern Cal got to play Oklahoma, and Southern Cal took Oklahoma to the woodshed. Sorry, Adrian Peterson. An absolute tail kicking in that game. And then Auburn ends up winning the Sugar Bowl against Virginia Tech, and now I guess we'll never know what could have happened, right? That was maybe the first time in my life I was like, this is a silly way to do this, because that Auburn team was really good. Shout out Ronnie Brown and Cadillac Williams. Great, one of the best backfields I've seen in my life in college football.
Fun dudes.
Fun dudes. Fun duo. Shout out Jason Campbell. No relation.
Brandon Jacobs was also in that backfield.
Pretty solid backfield. A pretty solid backfield.
Talk about a running back room.
You want to talk about the most injury-proof running back room in the history of college football? I think that Auburn team had the most injury-proof running back room in the sport. But what would that look like today? If we were still playing by those rules today, what would we have as our national championship game, and would we like it, given what we've seen throughout an entire football season of sample size and knowing what these teams are? Well, I've got the Sagarin rankings pulled up because you know what? That does not stop The fact that they don't use Jeff Sagarin's rankings anymore doesn't mean he doesn't still make them. And here's what the website looks like, right? This website is not in the 21st century. I want to hold this up on the camera too. That way, for those watching on the YouTube stream, can look and see what this looks like. This almost looks like something out of War Games with Matthew Broderick, right?
Geosites.
That's exactly what this looks like. This is just like raw HTML coding. This
Angel
is
fire.
Nuts. But what Jeff Sagarin has as his top 2 teams in his rankings, Ohio State at 1, Indiana at 2. Would America be cool with an Ohio State-Indiana rematch after we just saw that last Saturday for a national championship?
If Indiana could beat Ohio State again, yeah.
I would sign up for that. And we just railed against
Alabama and LSU playing that rematch.
I think I would sign up for that one again. But here's my issue with that. Because then we have to have a rubber match. Because
best 2 of 3.
It has to be best 2 out of 3 because just because you won the most recent one doesn't mean that you're, especially when they're this close together.
Yes.
That'd be a tough one. That'd be a very difficult pill to swallow, saying like, oh, because Ohio State won the last one, now they're the champions. I don't know about that. Or maybe we do, doesn't like soccer do like combined score?
Oh, yeah, aggregate.
Yeah. Aggregate score. Maybe we do an aggregate score or something like that.
Ohio State must beat Indiana by more than 3 to claim the national championship.
That would be fun.
If we played it like that would be fun.
That'd be some strategy to involve in that. But yeah, I would sign up for that.
Now, if they did that for Alabama LSU back in 2011, I think that was, 2011, then Alabama still would have won because it was 9-6 in their first meeting in Tuscaloosa. I think it was 21-0 in the next matchup.
And Elijah, how do you know all of these BCS games?
Oh, buddy, it may or may not be a sleeping exercise for me. Some people count sheep. I recall all of the BCS national title games from 1999 to 2014.
Go outside, nerd. Get out. Go.
That's how I went to bed last night. I couldn't go to sleep. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to lay on my back, and I'm just going to close my eyes, and I'm going to go all the way back to January of 99, where Tennessee beat Florida State 23-16, and I'm just going to go from there. Because I knew we were going to talk about it today, too. So this is half sleep prep, half show prep, because I did want to rank the 5 best BCS national title games ever, where occasionally the computer at least got it right in a good matchup. So I thought, in preparation for that, I'm just going to see if I can do this.
So you got them?
Oh, I got him.
Let's go.
I got him. Number 5, 2003 Sugar Bowl. This is, I guess technically this would have been 2004 was when it was played, 2003 season. LSU beats Oklahoma 21-14. Now, was it the most aesthetically pleasing game? No, this is a very Preston Thorne type football game. However, I will say this game has an incredible sliding doors moment. Does Nick Saban ever get the Alabama job if he doesn't win a national title at LSU?
Good question.
We could have kept that dynasty from happening if Bob Stoops could have just scored any points in the first half. That would have been nice. That was number 5. Number 4, 2011, January 2011, Auburn beats Oregon 22-19 that was the BCS National Championship game, but played at the Fiesta Bowl site. Cam Newton caps off the perfect season by beating a really good, really fun Chip Kelly coached Oregon team. I was really cheering for Oregon in that game. But if Michael Dyer's knee goes down on that play, we might be talking about Oregon being a national champion. But he rolls over an Oregon defender, gets up, and gets Auburn in a chip shot field goal range to be able to hit a field goal as time expires. It's the only real walk-off on this list. The last BCS national title game, 2014, Florida State beating Auburn in what we know as the Rose Bowl. Now, that was a game where Auburn scored a Trey Mason touchdown with less than 2 minutes left. And then I think with less than 20 seconds left, Jameis Winston hits Kelvin Benjamin, a wide receiver who was allegedly a Popeye's biscuit away from being a tight end, in the back of the end zone for Florida State to take the lead and win that game.
I'm strong. You strong. We strong.
We strong then. And that is logic I cannot argue with. Mm-hmm. Number 2, 2002 season, 2003 of January. In the Fiesta Bowl, Ohio State beating Miami in overtime and killing Miami's hopes of winning 2 straight titles. Also some controversy in that one. Whether or not you believe Gamble pushed off in the end zone, that is a lot. That game had everything. It had heartbreak because Willis McGahee's injury. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite college football players. It had a loaded Miami team and Maurice Clarett. on the other side who willed Ohio State to that win.
Also had Gamecocks watching that game at home, trying to figure out how Ohio State was in the national championship, and we had just beat them last year, and we were at home watching bowl games. Crazy.
But
Moving
number one, 2006 Rose Bowl, Texas Southern Cal, Vince Young.
That's the one.
Game-winning touchdown. That's, to me, maybe the best national championship game, even in a college football playoff, that we've ever gotten. So I came up with that while trying to fall asleep last night, which is the most me way to fall asleep possible. Coming up next, though, we're going to put the Garnet glasses back on, but not because the Garnet glasses, because it's Team Crush Tuesday. That's next. It's Team Crush Tuesday, which means the glasses are coming back on. And you know what? We've done a lot of what our Team Crush is during the season. And I've got one I'll get to. But the first team that I want to get to isn't even from this year. It's not even from 2025. Because as this song is a good throwback, I want to give you a good throwback to a team I'm crushing on. And that, my friends, is the 2022 Arkansas Razorbacks. And the 2021 Arkansas Razorbacks.
Okay.
You know why?
I like what you're doing here.
Because reported new offensive coordinator Kendall Briles was the architect of those offenses. So when I want to get a little bit of a glimpse as to what it can look like here next year, not as interested in watching TCU, right? Because Sonny Dykes has his philosophy. And whether or not Kendall was under the thumb or under the tutelage of Sonny Dykes, clear distinction there, is one thing or another. But one thing you do know is that Kendall Briles had his hands all over that Arkansas offense, and they were fun to watch. Rocket Sanders, that last year, ran for 1,400 yards. KJ Jefferson ran for over 600. And it's some of the best Arkansas offenses we've seen in a long, long time. So, the idea that a team in the past can make me excited about a team in the future has these heart glasses
like
working
it.
overtime, baby.
I like it. Well, I'm going to go to a squad who's caught my eye all year, and they haven't done anything but improve / get away with it / be resilient. Kirby Smart.
Oh, buddy.
Gunnar Stockton.
It's all culminated in
Mike
an SEC title.
Bobo. Them boys playing, and they're doing it in a little bit of a different way. The defense is not necessarily dominating. They're good. They're solid, but they're not like world beaters like they are. There's a little, as Kirby said, the Georgia Bulldog fans have suffered heartbreak over the years. I'm not sure about that.
Well,
but they're doing it somehow. This feels like an underdog squad, and I'm not sure exactly what that's about, but I really do like the squad, and I think this is my team that I'm going to pick to win this thing.
I think it is for me, too. I really want to see Indiana do it, because that's kind of my Team Crush Tuesday, is that this Indiana team, who, shout out to Craig Godwin for finding this and pulling it up on the YouTube stream. Indiana has 3 blue chip players, which are 4 or 5 stars, right?
Ooh.
So not even close to
That does not qualify for the blue chip ratio.
No. About as far away as you can get, right? And every team that has ever won a national championship since these recruiting websites have been formed and have been labeling high school recruits with stars, there's not been one team that's ever won a national championship with an under 50% ratio of 4 or 5 star players compared to non-4 or 5 star players. Indiana would be the first one to ever do that. And a team with 3 blue chip players beat a team against Ohio State that has 67 of them. 67. Ohio State won the game on Rivals and on 3 and 24/7. But that's not where the football game's played, baby.
That's right.
Indiana's going to drag you to the deep end.
We're going to drag you to the deep end.
And they did on Saturday night, and they did it in a way where it was a defensive battle, which is not the way Indiana's won some games this year. I love that mantra. I love that idea of a football team.
It's so funny because you introduced that idea and you've opened up a portal because Team Crush Tuesday has traditionally been in the present. But since we're talking about CFP, and BCS, I went and looked at some of these teams, and I have what I would like to call the anti-crush. And that would be
Team Anti-Crush Tuesday?
Anti-Crush Tuesday. That would be the 2008 Florida Gators. Because, boy.
Same, yeah. I remember 2008.
That squad.
Hated them.
When you go back and look at those dudes, I was going to say a word that I'm not going to say now because it's too appropriate. But not a bunch of likable dudes on those squads.
No. The strangest ensemble of players in terms of what was that locker room like? The Pouncey twins, Brandon Spikes, Aaron Hernandez,
Big Joker.
Yeah, the ultimate joker.
Percy Harvin. Known, not a great dude in the locker rooms.
Riley Cooper. And then Tim Tebow as the leader of the team. Did we underrate Tim Tebow's leadership qualities given
Maybe
the names
the best leader of all time? How did he corral this group of misfits? Whoa.
Into not just winning a national championship that year, cruising.
Yeah, for sure.
Who was it Will Hill that crushed that Oklahoma receiver on the sidelines? Like, first play of the game, Oklahoma has the ball in that national title game. Sam Bradford uncorks one down the sideline, and that poor Oklahoma receiver, as soon as that ball touches his hands, gets smacked.
Yes.
I mean, one of those violent collisions I have ever seen on a football field, and that set a tone immediately. It was Ahmad Black or Will Hill. I can't remember which player it was for Florida.
Anti-crush.
They were
team.
villains. Oh, brother, at age 13, I despised them.
You should have.
Despised them.
And you didn't even know the half.
I know. I did not know the half. I despised them without knowing the half. And I wanted Oklahoma and Sam Bradford to win that game so bad.
Wasn't going to happen.
That wasn't happening. No, that absolutely was not happening. 2 hours down, one more to go. We'll break down Kendall Briles being the South Carolina offensive coordinator, allegedly, next.
Wise Ferry Road at Augusta Highway, an accident there. Also Killian Road at I-77, I-77 northbound after Decker Boulevard. And two more to make you aware of and fairly close together. I-20 westbound before 277 and I-20 westbound at Two Notch Road. So a little bit of a slow go between 277 and Two Notch Road there on I-20 westbound. 45 for the high today. Going to be dry, though. Overnight low of 29. 58 tomorrow, 55 for your Thursday. Still kind of staying chilly this early morning. 36 right now in the early game.
The early game third and long hour starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. Rachel is in our video control studio there, making sure that we look nice and fine here in Studio 803 and that nothing breaks and that the sticker on my laptop is the right side up because that looked goofy yesterday. And we are also talking about the Gamecock news of the day because if Pete Thamel tweets it, I guess we can make it as close to official as possible without the final approval of the Board of Trustees. But Pete Thamel put it out there last night. We even talked about it yesterday because it was kind of trickling in throughout the weekend that South Carolina may have found their new offensive coordinator. That offensive coordinator will be coming here from Fort Worth, Texas, where Texas Christian University is and where they play football. Kendall Briles, who's been their offensive coordinator for the last couple of years, reportedly planning to become the offensive coordinator for South Carolina. His previous stops were 3 years at Arkansas before his 3 years at TCU, then at Florida State in 19, Houston in 18, FAU in 2017, and at Baylor in 2015. We talked about some of the overall idea and thoughts and takes on Kendall Briles becoming South Carolina's offensive coordinator. But the more I seem to learn about at least how he operates as a play caller, the more intrigued I am by it. The name is one thing, but I think the philosophy is helping us paint a greater picture as to what we have in a new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, we just had some film clips from him talking at a coach's clinic, and we got a chance to hear a little bit about his philosophy as far as installing tempo, the mechanics of tempo. He goes real deep into the weeds about, you know, what he plans to do upon day one or what he does at all of the different stops. And it's like, okay, we finally heard somebody with a philosophy. And as I've stated, I think yesterday I said that this hiring was safe. And I think more today I'm leaning toward this hiring is sound.
Ooh, it's safe and
it's
sound.
Safe and sound. So safe there might have been a little bit of a derogatory term, and that's not what I meant, but even to clarify it even further, I think it's sound. And what I mean by sound is that it is an obvious upgrade from the previous coordinator that we had, because in all the time when we heard Mike Shula talk, we never heard a specific philosophy. We never heard an identity. We never heard a philosophy, except we want to be balanced. And we we did achieve that one time.
Well, in terms of attempts, you did a couple of times run the ball as much as you threw it.
So it is a sound hiring in the idea that is an obvious upgrade from what we had, and it meets the requirement of being a college-specific offense. So moving forward, we'll see where it goes, but I think it's sound hiring.
And when we said, safe yesterday too, I think the safe part comes from it is a recognizable name.
Yes.
I think fans can be excited for it. And there is a proven track record of success at a high level in college. As much as I loved Kevin Decker's offense at Old Dominion, and as much as I could watch an offense like that operate, because it does remind me so much of Georgia Tech's, and we had Team Crush Tuesday last segment. We've used Georgia Tech a lot in that segment because of just how they play, especially how their offense just looks aesthetically. Kevin Decker's, the most play calling experience he has is in the Sun Belt, right? Kendall Briles is coming from the Big 12. Kendall Briles has been an offensive coordinator in the SEC at Arkansas and yielded pretty good results, right?
Against us.
Against South Carolina, no less. Like, go back and watch that game from 2022. Arkansas ran circles around Carolina in that game. We discussed earlier how if you want to watch that game, you can see exactly how dysfunctional the offense was early in the year for South Carolina and how sound, to keep using that term, it was for Arkansas in that game and how easy at times it felt for Arkansas in that game. In that 2022 season, they did score over 32 points a game. They threw for 234 yards a game. They rushed for 237 yards a game. And they were picking up almost 6.5 yards per play. It was an incredibly efficient offense. And I think if you want to get a peek inside the philosophy and the soul of what Kendall Briles wants to do with his offense, that's a good way to look. But don't just take our word for it. We have clips of him talking from a coach's clinic. And one thing that I want to discuss too, and Jen, this is going to be cut number 6. He was talking about constantly changing. And in a world of college football where it's a copycat league and there are innovators, like his dad was an innovator on the football field when it came to organizing an offense and coming up with an offense that really put stress all across the field on defenses, sometimes things change and you have to be able to evolve. But constantly changing, this is what Kendall Briles had to say about that concept.
Constantly changing, I think that's a huge deal. Okay, don't ever be stagnant in what you're doing. Just because you're good last year doesn't mean you're going to be good this year. We always got guys, myself included, that are watching high school tape, that are watching college tape, that are watching NFL tape, always finding ways to get better. That's our duty. That's our job to our players in our university.
I think that's apropos. In two instances, I just thought about football-specific instances. You see the Philadelphia Eagles. They were great last year. This year, not so much. Feels like they just said, hey, we got Saquon. We're going to run back and do the same thing. Didn't quite work. And as I say that, as I was thinking that, I was thinking of another program who thought that they were just going to do the same thing they did last year, roll it over and run it back, and it wasn't going to work. Who was I thinking of? Oh, yeah, the South Carolina Gamecocks.
And little did we know, because I think that was from late 2024, that clip would age the way that it has in terms of applying it to a new spot. And what I love there is his idea of finding inspiration at other levels. The NFL gets a lot of stuff from college. College gets a lot of stuff from the high school ranks, right? Because like you made a really good point earlier that a lot of high school teams have to be a little more innovative because they might not have the athletes to do certain traditional things on an offense. Or maybe they just don't have a lot of players, right? And you're preserving certain things because those guys are playing both sides of the ball. That's where a lot of the innovation comes from. And to use a quote apropos, to steal a quote from Pablo Picasso, good artist copy, great artist steal. And it seems like Kendall Briles isn't afraid to be a great artist in that respect, in terms of being able to find things that work for other people that he can be able to throw into his bag as a play caller too.
It's all about incorporating the things that are working. There's trends just like everything else. There's new trends that are happening in our offense all the time, new trends that are happening defensively, and you got to be able to move and work with those things and rely on being forward-looking. Have to harp on it because that's where we are. Our previous offensive coordinators seem to be always looking backwards at what we had done and what we did and what we wanted to do, not what the game was moving forward. So it is maybe comforting to have a coordinator who understands that the game moves forward.
And knowing that and hearing that, would it make you feel good about the hire even if somebody like, let's say, Lenore Sellers and Nick Harbor do not return?
Yeah, that's why I think it's a sound deal, because obviously it's better if they do.
Yes.
But it's not contingent, because he's run offenses with other players, and he's run several variations and several iterations of his style of offense with different characters that have done that.
And that's, I certainly feel the same way, especially considering how his offenses look at different spots. Like if you go back and look at that 2015 Baylor team. Now, in terms of what Kendall Briles is a play caller, we don't know how much autonomy he had at that position because his dad's the head coach. His dad invented that offense that they used to put up over 600 yards of total offense every game. But you looked at the quarterback archetype, like Bryce Petty, who was their quarterback, not known as somebody who is going to run the ball up and down the field. Wasn't considered a dual threat guy at all. Not his thing. Different type of quarterback. Then you had at Florida Atlantic, Jason Driscoll. Similar type. Could run a little bit more physical runner. De'Aaron King at Houston, right? Really one of the more dynamic players at the college football level. But then you go look at Arkansas. KJ Jefferson was different than all those guys. Different build, different play style, different strengths, and you're still putting up over 30 points per game on offense in all those years with KJ Jefferson. When I look at track record, I like to look at who are the quarterbacks that you called plays for and that you evaluated, and what type of quarterbacks are they? Can you work with different types of quarterbacks? So when it comes to holding on to whether or not Lenore Sellers decides to return or not, I do like that he's got a track record of being able to fit an offense to the very specific styles of how his quarterbacks actually play.
I feel like we can honestly have a conversation about that now.
Yes.
Previous to this hiring, I don't think we were even – it wasn't even a fair conversation to have with Lenoris to say, hey, man, you want to come back? Come back to what? I don't know.
Right. That's why this hire had to be made in the time frame it did.
So now I feel like you can at least approach him like, hey, listen, this is what we got. This is where we're going. You still have those other options. That's cool, but at least we're trying to give you some reasons to stay.
And I think those are pretty good reasons. Another thing I wanted to hear from Kendall Briles, too, and I want you all to hear, is this is him talking about mixed plays. One of the biggest trends in football over the last decade is the usage of RPOs, right? And we saw a lot of attempts to incorporate that this year. But what's the philosophy for Kendall Briles when it comes to mixed plays and RPOs? This will be cut number 4, Jen.
Using mixed plays. So whenever we first started running RPO World 2010, there wasn't a term for it, so we called it mixed plays. Our guys at TCU, they're going to call them mixed plays, but that's just RPOs. We're going to be doing that 80% of the time.
80% of the time. That's a lot. That is a whole lot. Now, we saw South Carolina dabble in the RPO a lot this year, but not 80% of the time. What that also tells me, too, that if you're a quarterback in this system, you get a lot of autonomy in terms of the decisions that are being made on the football field. There's a lot of trust between quarterback and coach. And when I think of some of my favorite offensive coaches in the past, I think about Mike Leach, who is my number 1 favorite offensive coach in the history of this great sport. And Mike Leach's thing was, you're the quarterback, you're out there, you see it differently than I do. I don't trust anybody more than the person who's out there seeing it, lining up against it, to be able to make a certain audible or a certain read. If you're a quarterback and you have a lot of confidence in your decision-making abilities, I feel like that's a very enticing proposition to be able to hear that you can maybe get an 80% RPO type deal.
Yeah, and the big thing with the coach's job is to give them the reps in practice so that they don't see anything new on the game. So that we're preparing during the week, as I keep saying, as I repeated last year and repeated throughout the years, offensive coordinating is not just play calling. It's setting up the practices. It's setting up systems. It's designing all the things throughout the week to make sure your players are prepared to meet the moment on Saturdays. And so if you already know we're going into this with 80% opportunities, then that's how you prepare throughout the week.
Now, throughout the week, too, we are going to be looking at a lot of Arkansas stuff from 2020 to 2022. Because, again, I know we can look at TCU things from last year, and that can give you an idea as to where Kendall Briles has been the last 3 years, how he's wanted his offense to look. But I think looking at what he did at Arkansas is maybe the clearest reflection as to what you might see here, solely because of who the head coach is and the offensive acumen. Now, if you go through the list of everywhere he's coached since 2015, he's always been an offensive coordinator under somebody who was a great offensive mind, like his dad at Art Briles, Lane Kiffin at Florida Atlantic. At Houston, he coached under Major Applewhite, who was a former quarterback and a former offensive coordinator and play caller himself. At Florida State, Willie Taggart, offensive mind. At Arkansas, he was under Sam Pittman, offensive line coach, but never fancied as an elite type of play caller. TCU, Sonny Dykes, a guy who always was known as a really good play caller and offensive engineer. How he looked when he probably had the most autonomy as he had as any point in his career would probably be those Arkansas years, right? If by having to just use context clues, it would tell us that's probably the most control he's had over the whole design of the offense, which is why in the next couple of days, I want to get in front of the Wayback Machine here and look at a lot of Arkansas, because I think that's where we can see a lot about what might be applied here under Shane Beamer, who does give a lot of freedom to his coordinators.
Yeah, because when you're calling plays for somebody that's on the same side of the ball as you, even subconsciously, you just think like, Coach might not like that. How does Sonny feel about this? Or Coach Dykes, what you think? You know, like that's just always in your mindset. So, yeah, during that time where he had more free reign at Arkansas, I would think that's actually probably more so what he would like to do as a coordinator if given this wide swath of opportunity. And he will have that here because Shane, maybe to his detriment, gives the coordinators a lot of leeway.
And in terms of how successful teams are running the ball, we talk about run the ball a lot on this program.
Run the ball.
Really, there are only a handful of years where his teams did not run for 200 yards. Now, they did not eclipse 200 yards per game at any of the years at TCU, but the last 2 years at Arkansas, 229 and 237. At Houston, 216. At FAU, 285. He had an NFL running back in Devin Singletary, too. I too, would have trusted the best player in that conference at that time. And then 2015 at Baylor, they ran for 327. And you think about high-octane passing attacks, Baylor had it, but they also ran the ball with incredible efficiency, which tells me, too, running game is going to be improved under his type of leadership, too.
The running game is going to be improved through all of those fancy concepts that he talks about, space, lighting in the box, playing the whole field horizontally. All those things work for an offense. Essentially what you have is somebody who has an offensive system. It is an marked improvement because it's direction and it gives us a clear sense of identity. Going into game one, we won't be wondering game 4, what is this offense? They may not be good, we don't know, but we'll know what they're trying to do.
And that, which is exactly what we've been asking for all along. Well, the college football playoff has brought out the best in fans. It certainly has. Trust me, by the tone of my voice. We'll give you the best of the best on Message Board Mayhem next.
Hey, it's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. You know, I've talked about the remodel that we had to do in our kitchen due to a flood. We really had such a great experience with CHW Cabinetry. The folks over there in Lexington.
Before we get to Ray, we have some doozies on Message Board Mayhem. So I fix my crooked hat. On Message Board Mayhem, because the college football playoff obviously gets the best than everybody. All takes are rational. Everything is reasonable. Nobody reacts in a bad way. Nobody mischaracterizes the stakes when it comes to the college football playoff.
They pick the 12 teams and everybody agrees on them and they move forward.
Honestly, there's no more harmonious event in American society than the choosing of the 12-team college football playoff. We're all really cool with it. Just like BYU fans. Well, they got boat raced by Texas Tech, and, well, that killed any shot that they could get into the college football playoff. But one BYU message board has a solution. Boycott the CFP games.
Okay.
Except Texas Tech games.
Because?
Big 12 connection there.
Okay.
He says, "What say ye?" And nothing's going to get me on board with your post more than Old English. "I know our footprint isn't huge compared to other conferences, but we can still make a difference. The CFP needs to crash and burn. The only way is lower TV ratings for these CFP games."
All right. That's a way to go about it. You're going to have to make your intentions very known and widely accepted amongst a lot of people, but sure.
Now, the likelihood of success is?
Not high?
Low to not at all. Now, according to Notre Dame,
okay,
and a Notre Dame message board.
Sure, they're very rational about this whole situation?
Oh, of course. On IrishIllustrated.com, one poster says, "War was declared today." Notre Dame declining the bowl invite tells you all you need to know. I'm so here for it. We are angry. I don't know if we're going to now work towards blowing this whole system up, but I know we are angry and going to field the best team in the country next year. Marcus has any resources he wants now. ESPN/the committee fired the first shots today with that abominable selection, but the bowl decline shows you that Notre Dame has declared war, so I'm here for it.
Well, there's other message boards that say there's a little smoke behind Marcus may be looking into NFL jobs.
Oh? See, that's the thing with Marcus Freeman is this is a really good Rorschach test on where you think your program is, because one fan says we just got completely screwed. We're going to show the CFP by not playing in a bowl game, which also, yeah, good luck. I don't think Notre Dame deciding not to play in a bowl game is going to do anything for the CFP.
And this is another thing. It's not for message boards, but like, just because a thing happens doesn't mean it's happening everywhere, right? Yes, it's going to happen, but it's not like, this is the final death blow for bowl games. I don't know, but let's give it some time.
Now, on IrishIllustrated.com, the attitude towards Marcus Freeman a little different. Not scared that he's going to leave for an NFL job. Not amped that he's going to field the best team in the country next year. This poster says they absolutely did it to themselves. Everybody loves Marcus because he's charming, charismatic, but he couldn't coach his blank out of a pair of tidy whities.
Brian Kelly's available. You want that?
Yeah, you want Brian Kelly? You can get your guy back.
Get your guy back.
You can get him back.
If that's what you want to do.
I think Marcus Freeman's doing just fine.
I think he's all right. And again, I don't know if it's not quite smoke, but he's highly coveted. And you don't just have to worry about college teams.
And now, last one here. There is a very long post, and I just will not bother to read all of it. But this is on maybe one of the strangest message board names. It's an Ohio State message board called Bucknuts.
Yep.
That is claiming it is a conspiracy theory that the Big Ten let Indiana win. No, Indiana didn't beat us on the field. They let them win. They needed somebody else to represent this conference and show that this conference is deeper than what it actually is. That's the gist.
Okay. A compelling 13-10 conspiracy.
A 13-10 conspiracy. Yes, I'm sure that is an interesting coping mechanism to try to explain why your team with 67 4- or 5-star recruits lost to a team with 3 of them.
Okay.
Because remember, kids, there's no way they beat us. It was rigged.
Yeah, and the conspiracy theory, I know we don't want to read the whole thing, but the conspiracy theory goes to what? What's the end game on this?
The end game is the Big Ten wanted another power team other than the Bucks. I mean, they are still in the CGP and all made a, I think it's a CFP, a little typo there on the computer because the G key is next to the F, and all made a heck of a run, as we know, and they will have to do the same this year.
Okay.
So that's one way to look at coping with the loss. We'll go to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Our pal Ray is on the line. Good morning, Ray. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning. Good morning. I tell you, I think Preston hit it. He hit it right on the head in the last segment when he was talking. We're talking about the offense being that it's like Kendall Briles. Pardon me. Kendall Briles has come on as our OC. Isn't it really? It's nice to say that we, as of now, have an offensive identity. I mean, I'm telling you, Elijah, that's something we haven't had in 10 years. If you look over the last 10 years, how bad we've been on offense, and we'd all say, I mean, Preston, we all say we have no identity other than the bad offensive line play. We say we have no identity. So it's just refreshing to know that we can say that it looks like we don't have an offensive identity. And I like the way he plays tempo and he spreads people out and that type of thing. But if you ever notice those type of offenses that really run, they do a really good drill of what they do. They're really good at it. They also run the ball very well as well because it's like, you got to – that's coming at you. It's fast tempo. You got to be ready. So I look forward to this. I'm just really happy that we can say we finally have an offensive identity. I kind of feel like was it the Tim man that said he didn't have a heart or whatever? so I feel like as Gamecocks we can say we have an offensive identity.
We do finally have that. Thank you for the call, Ray. I think that's one reason why I'm excited for Kendall Briles is because of that identity. It's not just having an identity. It's one that I'm like in a football sense, like really attracted to watching, right? You look at some of the other kind of disciples of that Briles offense. I like to use Jeff Lebby and Josh Heupel as an example. When you think about those teams, you think about high-flying passing attacks because they are good at hitting on the deep ball. But what do those teams do as well as anybody else in college football? They run the ball really well because they are able to create light boxes. They spread you across the field. And what we heard Kendall Briles say earlier in the show is that he makes the defenders have to serve two masters, right? You have two things you have to account for, and you can really only account for one. Make the defense choose what play you're going to hit them with. And that type of offense of putting those defenders in conflict can result in a lot of explosive plays and can result in having an advantage on every single play.
Yeah, and if the fans understand the identity, then the players will, and the players are able to play towards that identity. And that gives you playing fast, playing clear, simplifying, all of those cliches that you want to hear, but it starts with knowing who you are.
And it's aesthetically pleasing. It's obviously in football, you want to score points. You need to be efficient with how your offense moves. You can't keep going backwards like this offense has led the SEC in the last several years. But if it's aesthetically pleasing, I'm here for that too. I'm here for some aesthetics. I know it's all about efficiency. It's all about results. But this is also an offense that is aesthetically pleasing, at least for somebody like me, where my ideal game is in the 50s. Preston Thorne longs for the I formation. Preston Thorne watched that Georgia Tech game. Like the Winnie the Pooh in the suit meme.
Magnifico.
How much did you watch of Indiana, Ohio State? And did you love every second of it?
It was beautiful. I could see myself sitting here, Gamecocks score 45 points, and I'm like,
A little pouting.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. We won, but I don't like how.
We won 45-21. I don't like it. We could control the ball a little bit more.
Not my tempo. Oh, man. Last night, something wild happened in Monday Night Football, and it leads me to this question. The Eagles cooked? We'll discuss. doesn't look very good right now. Sorry, Don. I know Don Staley probably didn't enjoy that performance last night. We did get a text on the Firehouse Subs text line that, that we've got me a homework assignment for tonight. Nameless texter goes, on Bryles' philosophy, any evidence of stronger second half performances? So I'll go back and look of what the offense has done in the first and second half, because we have box score data that does go back to 2015, so I'm able to do that. Because when you look at the offense this year, that was kind of the big thing, right? Is sometimes you do cool stuff in the first half or on the first drive and then not have anything happen in the second half. The team only won 2 fourth quarters out of the 12 games they played. And that's kind of the common denominator when you look at how a lot of the games that they lost went down. So interesting to see in terms of, we talk about a lot of the basic stuff, how you're doing in pass offense, what your tempo's like, how your run game looks. Do you actually convert those yards to points? But when do you get a lot of those, I think can matter too. So that's something, thank you for that text, because we're going to get to that tomorrow. We'll carve out a segment for that tomorrow to see exactly what this offense or his offenses have done in the second half. Because it matters, especially around here. But last night, in one of the wackiest football games, I think we had 8 total turnovers in Eagles at Chargers last night. Eagles lost in overtime. They're 8-5. Preston Thorne are the Philadelphia Eagles, the reigning Super Bowl champions, cooked.
It hadn't been right all year. It has not been right. They've been winning games. People haven't been happy. They've been disgruntled, murmurings around the locker room. I don't think they're going to have enough to finish this season. If you remember, yes, they won the Super Bowl last year. That was awesome. But the year before that, they had an epic collapse. But they lost the last 6 games, got blown out in the first round of the playoffs. Something's not right in that locker room. I think it starts with Sirianni. I'm not sure about that dude.
I've got a Sirianni take.
Okay. You want to give it now?
Oh, yeah. Front runner.
Okay. That sounds very fair.
Not very good when adversity hits.
Yeah, and when the wheels start falling off as they are now, can he get it back on track? Also, there's conversations to be had about Jalen Hurts, who is A1 guy, but I don't know if he can make all of the A1 throws that you need from an NFL quarterback. He's leadership guy. I hate to say this.
Oh, I can see the agony in your face right now as you're ready to fire this one out. Let it rip. Let it rip.
He's just a cooler version of Russell Wilson.
Oh! Not going to beat the Russell Wilson allegations, but a cooler version.
I think he's cool. He's awesome. He's handsome. He dresses well. He says all the right things, but I don't know how that plays in the locker room. I'm not sure how that plays, or maybe if this shtick is getting old. And then last night, just to cap everything off, game-winning touchdown, which Jalen throws, a beautiful throw.
It was a great ball
to A.J. Brown, and he drops it, and that's almost poetic.
Considering A.J. Brown's probably been the most vocal about the offensive struggles, and it's not like he's been wrong.
He hasn't been wrong. It's just like, don't say this in front of mixed company, or don't tell everybody else that. Keep that in here.
Air our dirty laundry
out.
And it always is a bad look when it comes from your wide receiver who is not catching a ton of passes because of how that comes off, right? It's one thing for a struggling player to talk about, hey, we're struggling, I'm struggling. But when you're somebody who normally gets fed the ball a lot, not getting fed the ball anywhere near as much, and now you're talking about the team struggling, it gives off a different look.
Yeah, like, is he being selfish? Yes. Is he also right? Yeah.
Yes. Two things can't be true at once.
Yeah, because the offense would be better if he got the ball more, if they did spread it out more. And then you have Saquon maybe with a little bit of fool's gold last year. Everybody was wondering how that happened. But the numbers, what's the carry number that for running backs?
The curse of 370.
It is real. And you've seen regression this year for him. So I don't know, man. Let's just see. They might join the likes of Kansas City,
cooked,
who's absolutely cooked. Baltimore.
Oh, buddy. Oh, man. What's a catch in the NFL anymore? I don't know. The Isaiah Likely thing seemed ridiculous. But they ruled it incomplete. Ravens up turning it over on downs, losing a game at home to the Steelers. They're 6-7. And Kansas City got beat, and the offense looked atrocious. D'Amico Ryans coached circles around Andy Reid in that Sunday night game. Like, they look straight up. They look bad, like a bad football team. And even on a night when the Eagles do get, they lost a game where A.J. Brown had 100 receiving yards and Saquon Barkley ran for 122. When those guys haven't been doing that at the same time all season long. And they still found a way to lose that game. But I want to pause on the idea that they're cooked because of the schedule that's coming up. Here's the one thing that would give me hesitancy to say they're cooked, because they still have a 2-game lead in that division, and they get the Raiders coming up, the 2-11 Raiders. They're bad, capital B, bad, stinky. They
Hurts my heart,
as the kids say, they're butt. And then they're at the Commanders, also bad. And I don't think we might not see Jaden Daniels the rest of the year. I don't know. He got hurt again against the Vikings. So you're probably seeing Marcus Mariota on the road. You're at the Bills. That's tough. That's a tough game. I might even chalk that up as a loss. And then you get to host the Commanders again. So you get the Commanders 2 of the last 3 weeks of the year, and you get the Raiders. With a 2-game lead in your division, I think that's good enough to be able to win the division. Do I expect them to win the NFC? Absolutely not. But if they do, then Nick Sirianni can beat the front runner allegations.
So he just needs to win these games, win the NFC East. He can pound his chest a little bit, and maybe that'll give him some momentum moving forward.
It could, because in 2023, they did not have that at all. They lost like you said, the last 6 games, and they go to Tampa, who was playing a lot better ball at the time, and just got bludgeoned in that football game. Wasn't even close. The wheels fell off in early December, right? I don't think the wheels are fallen off yet, but they're very loose. And all it's going to take is a loss to one of these 3 games against really bad teams, Raiders and Commanders, both of which have been eliminated from playoff contention, for them to be able to lose that game and for me to give up on them. But there's a little bit there that tells me that they might be able to squeeze it out.
I think it's worth keeping an eye on for sure.
If this is the cooked meter, I would say the Eagles are medium rare, the Ravens are well done, and the Chiefs are burnt.
Chiefs
burnt.
Hockey puck,
yes. Like I can't if I drop that on a plate, it's breaking it. It's breaking the plate, not the meat that was cooked.
And it just shows you how quickly things can change. And also show you that nothing lasts forever.
No, nothing lasts forever but the earth and sky. But what's really funny is I was really hoping the Bills would lose on Sunday. That way, sorry, Jack, but that would have made it really possible for the Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, and Eagles to all miss the playoffs. Would have made it possible. And that would be kind of funny, because those were, without a doubt, the best teams in the NFL last year. And sometimes I don't maybe just root for the story. I root for the funniest possible outcome. And that would have been the funniest possible outcome. To me, funny outcomes are winners. We'll give our winners for today's show, including an archaic way of deciding a national champion. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That's coming up next here in the early game. Our winners are brought to you by the Golden Spur, and we have plenty of them. I have a few things written down here. So the first thing I want to get to, I'll go ahead and get us started. My winner for today's show, the BCS, the Bowl Championship Series, because there was a time not in the too distant past, we decided who was playing in a national championship game because of my boy Jeff Sagarin's computer rankings. And if that were the case this year, our national championship game would have been Indiana-Ohio State. Would not have gone well around these parts in SEC country. But that's how we used to settle things around here. And you know what? That's how I got to sleep last night, was recalling every BCS national championship game from 99 to 2014. My brain is a strange place.
Everybody's is, so it's okay. Fernando Mendoza, winner, obviously. Big Ten champ, a holder of the axe from Cal, 6-6. They won the game last year. But most importantly, throughout all of his excitement in the post-game conference, he managed to say flippin'. And that's how you know he's committed to this non-cussing life.
Yes.
Because through all the emotion, he still managed to say, we're the flippin' Big Ten champs. Sir, we appreciate you.
When emotions run high, it can be easy to violate FCC law or FCC, rules, right? It can be very easy. He managed not to do it. And that is a winner right there. Another winner, Disney simulcast.
Oh, big time. Because
I slept through pretty much all of Monday Night Football last night. I caught up on SportsCenter this morning. But my first idea of how this game went down was when the SportsCenter was showing the Monsters, Inc. simulcast. So my first viewing of the game-winning interception for the Chargers last night was Sully from Monsters, Inc. picking it off. And you know what? I don't think I wanted to have that news broken to me any other way. That was it.
Sully, winner.
Great
Disney character. We are in the process of introducing the Monster Inc. series.
Good parenting right there.
Yep. So
yes.
we are in the process of introducing that, and it's going really, really, really well. So appreciate you, NFL, for that, because I got a chance to merge two interests last night.
Oh, yes. See, that's awesome. Also, winner, the soundtrack from Monsters, Inc., because this is really, really niche here. But the jazz number that plays in the credits on Monsters, Inc., it's a banger. And every now and then I'll be doing just mundane tasks in my house, and that tune just gets stuck in my head. And when I hear it, it'll get stuck. Once you hear it, it's stuck in your head all day. But as somebody who does like to dabble in a little bit of jazz every now and then, there may be no more reliable, great jazz tune than what's playing at the end credits of Monsters, Inc.
So to recap today, Elijah falls asleep listing BCS games in his head. His top 5 film is Whiplash.
Great.
And
this is it. It's so good. It's going to be stuck in my head all day, and I'm not mad about it.
And he has advocated for the closing credits of Monster Inc. Yes, sir, your mind is a strange place.
It is, yeah. Sometimes there are places in my mind I would not go with a gun, but those are the better spots. Those are the better spots right there. That's certainly a winner. And, of course, our winner, Kendall Briles. A lot of Kendall Briles talk today, too.
A lot of conversation.
Going to be the offensive coordinator at South Carolina. And I think another Golden Spur winner is just the element of excitement, because I think because of what we have heard from Kendall Briles when it comes to his emphasis on tempo, what he likes to do, what we've seen some of his teams do, especially at Arkansas and the SEC, has to give you a little bit of encouragement. And I think overall, the hiring of Kendall Briles will have a pretty high success rate when it comes to approval.
Yeah, identity. Identity is a winner. Knowing who you are, being confident in who you are, and then going out and executing that is something that all great offenses should do, and probably all great institutions and businesses. You have to have a clear identity for who you are so that we can know what we're getting when we patronize you.
And you know what? As somebody whose favorite book is Catcher in the Rye, I know exactly about reading over 100-plus pages of not knowing what your identity is and longing for it. I know what that looks like, and you don't want to be there. We have seen it in football, and we have seen it in literature. But having that identity is a big plus. Definitely a winner. And another winner I'm hoping for today, me. Because Preston and I from 4 to 6, again, if you missed it, we're going to be at Guthrie's. we're going to be gluttonizing on chicken in a contest to see who could do it better. And I'm going to be hungry. I'm already hungry. I'm ready. I'm ready to do it right now.
I would just say if this was a game, I'd be setting up the idea that, oh, my hamstring feels a little tight. My hamstring. I feel a little tightness in my hamstring.
Adam Schefter tweets out Preston Thorne is a game time decision.
Gonna give it the old college try. I wouldn't take the over on me though.
I'm feeling confident today. I woke up and Russell Wilson says, I'm feeling dangerous. I'm feeling hungry. And that's all that's needed. And before we get out of here, too, in terms of winners, I talked about the BCS, because sometimes that was a fun way to end a season when we just a computer handpicked our 2 participants. Your favorite BCS national championship game? I'm curious about this.
Yeah, I think you said it. This 2005, the Texas and USC. It's the star power, the way the game ends, all of those dudes on the field at the same time, performing in the lights. I think that's probably the one that I think that's my favorite one.
That's one of my favorite quarterback games of all time, because Vince Young threw for 200, or he ran for 200 plus yards, only threw for like 97, but he ran all over the place, man. And in terms of excitement and like single game performances, one of my favorite of all time.
Yeah, so I can close my eyes and see those plays that were happening.
Oh, such a great memory. That's a winner. Tyler Head, Jack Veltri, the Extra Point, they're winners, and they're next.